Hey, what's going on, guys? This is JP.
This is the Bug.
This is JC.
This is Flash. This is Jimi Hendrix.
And you're listening to
You're listening to
the Run and Gun Podcast.
Alright, so what's going on, folks? Welcome to another episode of the Run and Gun Podcast. I'm Jay Peeps. That's Flash.
What's up?
And this is actually his first time on this podcast. So, you know, one episode we had D Sasser. Next episode, now we got Flash on here. So it's all good. It's all good. And the first thing, well, you know what? I'm gonna be a good host here. You know what? What do you want to talk about first, Flash? You want to talk about college football? You want to talk about the MLB, NBA, NFL? What do you want to talk about?
Within those three, we can talk about Rays. We can talk about college football. We can talk about NFL. We can talk about NBA thoughts, whatever.
Okay, hey, let's go ahead and jump into it then. First thing we got to jump into, you know, it just ended not too long ago. Game 7 of the ALCS. The Rays take down the Astros.
Go Rays.
After going up 3-0 and then allowing the Astros to come back, send it to a Game 7, and then finishing it in Game 7 in the proper fashion. I was blown away by that. Like my adrenaline high has been like sky high today because of like the way UCF lost and then the way Florida State just won tonight, and now this on top of that, and then the fact that is tomorrow in the NLCS we get the Dodgers and the Braves again in a Game 7. It's crazy.
That FSU game towards the end, like that was something else. Like probably FSU really got to enjoy that win tonight. I'll tell you that right now. Like, enjoy it.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Especially with what's going on, because earlier this season we had talking about that USF may have been better.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Let's talk about the
I gotta ask you this now. So, Arozarena already got MVP for the American League Championship. So now the Rays have to await the winner of the NLCS, the Braves or the Dodgers. Who would you rather see the Rays play?
Well, let's see. To be honest, like I'm fine with either one. To be honest, I think both of them could put up a good series against the Rays. Or the Rays could put up a good series with both of them, depending how you want to view it. But I personally think, I guess LA maybe, but Atlanta would be fun.
Yeah.
If the Astros had won, I would say LA because of the fight with the pitchers and stuff. I forgot his name.
Right.
But
yeah, because
it'll be entertaining.
That's what it kind of felt like it was building towards. It kind of felt like it was building towards, like an Astros-Dodgers type World Series with the way both teams have kind of fought back to force that Game 7. But now that the Rays have kind of just, held on and finished this off the right way and didn't pull a Golden State, it kind of feels like, it could end up being the Rays and the Braves. And there's something interesting that a few people, especially in the Tampa Bay area, know, and a lot of people in Florida know, is the thing with the Rays and the Braves is like, and even my parents have told me about it, before the Rays became a baseball team back in 98, a lot of the Braves games up in Atlanta used to get beamed down here to Tampa. So, like, the Braves were, like, Tampa Bay's team for a long time because Tampa Bay didn't have a baseball team. So everybody used to always watch, the Braves playing stuff. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, the Braves. And then, of course, too, the Braves play at the Wild World of Sports over in Orlando. So, like, that's not too far from Tampa either. You can just drive over there and go see the Braves play a baseball game.
if they let you in. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's gonna be some mixed feelings though if that's the case between Tampa fans. But even though I would easily say Tampa fans have the majority of.
I mean, I think like for that time period, I think it's kind of like it's phased out a little bit because that was like what
That's what I was thinking.
22 years ago. But like, I mean, it's still there because a lot of sports columnists will write about that because they'll, like I said, they'll tell you before it was the Rays, everybody around here was the Braves because like the Braves are always on TV on CBS and stuff, getting their games beamed down here to Tampa. But
Oh, yeah.
honestly, if I had to choose between the two, for like purposes being, I would love to see a Rays versus Braves World Series, but the betting man inside of me, if I were to go to Vegas and put money down on Game 7, I'd definitely put it down on the Dodgers. That's just me though. I for some reason, because the Dodgers are a more experienced team in this position, I just feel like the Dodgers have the upper hand.
Oh yeah, definitely. My gut inside me think the Dodgers are going to pull it off. That's just me. I think I don't know, like when there's like another team, it feels more solidified to if the Rays win it all, and I feel like the Dodgers are the team to beat if the Rays had a better opponent to face. It makes it feel solidified, bigger market, that kind of stuff. I don't think the Rays ever won a World Series, right? I don't think so.
No, they have not. They've been to one though. The last one was 2008. So, and I believe in that World Series, they got swept by the Phillies. Because I remember vividly. It was like, okay, Rays are going to go to the World Series. Rays are going to go play against the Philadelphia Phillies, who've got, like, I believe Jim Thome was on the team at the same time. I think. Yeah, I believe it was, but I know the Rays got swept in that series. I think it was a sweep. I'm not too sure. I'm trying to look back at it and find it right now. The 2008 World Series, and that game was. It was. Ooh, what was it? Oh, it was a 4-1. Okay, it was a 4-1 series win for the Phillies.
It was a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, because I mean, like the Rays were good, but just the Phillies were just on a different level and everything. Like it, because like the Rays won game 2. It was tied up 2-2. I don't know, tied up 1-1 in the series, and then from there, the next 3 games were up in Philadelphia. It was cold, and the Rays lost. The Rays lost 3 straight, and it was over.
I mean, a lot of things are different now with the bubble and stuff. I mean, there's many factors.
Oh, and, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I still like the Rays to win it all. I mean, especially beating the supposedly best team ever, the Yankees, as everyone was calling them, right?
Oh no, nobody was calling them that. I didn't think the Yankees were the best team at the moment. I really thought that truthfully, I really think that the best team is probably the Dodgers or was the Astros.
Nah, Astros had some issues this season. I didn't think that.
Okay, well, yeah, probably the Dodgers. But I mean, it's fantastic. Love to see it. Hopefully, they can pull it out. But now I'm gonna switch gears for you here, and I'm gonna transition us in to NCAA football. And I'm gonna start off with something you kind of had a little beef about earlier today, and that was Auburn. So let me ask you this: is Auburn overrated? I think I know what you're going to say.
Yes, this season they definitely are. They definitely got exposed by South Carolina today. It shows. I saw the game throughout today while I was at work. They were just getting beat left and right. They just weren't the Auburn teams that we're used to see.
I gotta agree with you. And then I want to know about what you said about Bo Nix too.
Honestly, I'm gonna be like straightforward about Bo Nix. I really didn't think I didn't think he should have got the starting job over Joey Gatewood.
Gatewood.
Gatewood. I thought Joey Gatewood was the better quarterback. That was just my thoughts. And
You know what? I agree with you because for one, I feel like because Joey Gatewood is at Kentucky now, I believe, correct?
he's at
Yes.
Kentucky. He's on the bench, but
Yeah.
like their quarterback is a senior, so
Right. But yes, because like I think Joey Gatewood could have added an extra element that Bo Nix does not contribute to. Like, don't get me wrong, Bo Nix is a good player,
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
Bo Nix is not. He's not an accurate thrower of the football.
Oh yeah, he was overshooting his throws today. A lot of that. There were some other issues with Auburn too, but overshooting passes was definitely overthrowing passes. Slinky.
Exactly. And then the fact of the matter too is like, okay, you want a crunch time game against Oregon last year, week 1. What other like I said again, good quarterback and stuff. You beat Alabama a year ago, but outside of that, like I mean,
There were
dude,
other elements besides Bo Nix that beat Alabama.
exactly like the running back.
Sean Shivers like knocking out the helmet, dude. Which, by the way,
Yeah,
personally, Sean Shivers is a hell of an athlete, guys. Like he may be 5'6", but he's a fast dude and he will run through you. Like don't underestimate his size. And he showed it
exactly.
at the game. That photo is gonna be one to remember for Auburn fans without a doubt.
Exactly. And like it's like with him, I just I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he'll mature into something better next year, but I don't know. Like it's so much growth I still need to see from Bo Nix before I can actually really like become a fan. Because right now, at the moment, if you ask me, I mean, look, he grew up with the Auburn name and stuff and whatnot. Like he grew up in Auburn. His dad played for Auburn and stuff. But
Exactly.
I need to see more from him.
Definitely. Especially you have to name to live up to. I mean, that's probably why he also got a starting job too. I said it on Twitter earlier. I think I think Bo Nix really just got his starting job because his dad played at Auburn. That's just how I felt personally. No, not hating
Right.
on him, but that's just how I felt.
Right. I mean, no, you're right, and that's rightfully the truth to say that. And now the next thing that we got to hit on too with this, with the college football is so the funny thing coming out of Gainesville that I've kind of been harping on for so long here now. Um, Dan Mullen wanted full capacity for what was supposed to be this weekend's game against LSU. But now, because he's tested positive and multiple people in the Gators camp have tested positive for COVID-19, we aren't going to see the Gators play a game for the next 2 weeks. Or really next week, well, this week and next week. So now their game with LSU has been canceled, and also their game with Missouri has been postponed. So now, out of luck. And it's the irony of it because Dan Mullen wanted 90,000 people in the swamp, and COVID just shut all of it down.
Man, you know what? It's just irresponsibility in Florida. And it starts with our governor, to be honest. It starts with our Governor DeSantis being irresponsible, telling everyone, yeah, let's increase capacity and stuff. I'm not against people going into football stands and anything, but like at least be responsible, mandate wearing masks and stuff. Because it has the science shows that like if you wear a mask and you possibly have the virus, it's like less than 1% of you spreading it to other people. As long so
Right.
so as and our governor thinks, oh no, it's okay, we can have everyone in, just like if it's normal. Like I think that's part of the issue. I also think Dan Mullen is also really irresponsible with that statement, and it's definitely as shown in the Gators camp with him testing positive along with some other players
And coaches.
Oh,
Coaches tested positive too.
there's definitely
It wasn't just him.
out there, without a doubt.
I agree with you.
Gators were looking all right until the Texas A&M A&M game, but I think Texas A&M was just more willing to win that game than the Gators were. The Gators were just choking stuff.
Texas A&M is a good football team, honestly.
Oh yeah,
Texas
Kellen
A&M,
Mond is a real deal. Like
based off of what they have ahead still, they could win out, and they showed it again today when they beat Mississippi State. Mike Leach. Speaking of, Mike Leach is 0-3 since beating LSU week 1. KJ Costello was benched, like I believe 2 games after he tossed 600 passing yards in that same game against LSU. Look, Mississippi, and they're just a pass happy team. The lead rusher only, I believe, one game in the game against Kentucky that they lost 24-2, only had like 17 yards on 7 carries.
I'm sorry,
can't run the ball.
I was out of it.
You're good. But you mean you can't in a conference, especially like the SEC.
Oh yeah, you can't.
And I know how you might feel about the SEC bias, but no, I mean, like you can't.
Legitimate conference. Don't get me wrong, but there are some overrated teams in the SEC. That's all I just want to say.
Okay, fair statement. Like, but you got to be able to run the ball
in the SEC. No, conference. You have to wear out your opponents. Texas A&M did it against UF, and the results showed. UF was tired, making careless mistakes, committing dumb penalties.
Exactly.
They just couldn't stop them. Kellen Mond thrive in the SEC with that kind of style of play if his own line can keep him protected. But I think with his passing skill and stuff, he's going to be great in the NFL, I personally think. I think him and King, they're going to be first or second round picks, maybe third at worst. I think. I don't know.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Derek King is also another guy I like so far seeing this season. I mean, people said that he should get Heisman if he beats Clemson, but to be honest, Miami overall is just not on Clemson's level. Let's face the truth. Clemson is just dominant.
There's a lot of teams in the ACC that are not on Clemson's level yet, and the next one being
is even on Clemson's level at all. I think Notre Dame will get smacked by them, knowing how good they are.
Oh, I'm so glad you know what? I'm so glad you said that. Matter of fact, I was going to talk about Florida State, North Carolina real quick, but I'm going to talk about Notre Dame. Notre Dame, here's the funny thing, and I believe I shared it with you last week.
Yes.
So I said Notre Dame wasn't a team that could compete with and hang with Clemson or Miami because they just don't seem impressive enough.
I mean,
someone tried to say
first we saw them run down USF and we thought, okay, yeah, maybe they're actually gonna be good, but then out of nowhere.
Oh, I already knew that. I still knew they weren't all that because USF ain't that good. But the thing is,
USF is in a rebuild.
Yeah, more than a rebuild. But the thing is with Notre Dame is, look, you are a top 5 team in the country, I believe, right now. Yeah, top 5.
Yeah, top.
And here's the thing about it: you struggled to put away Louisville today. You barely won that game. An unranked Louisville, 1-4 Louisville team at that. You barely struggled to put them away.
That same Louisville team lost to Georgia Tech that got smacked by Clemson. Just keep in mind, folks. This is the same Louisville.
That same Louisville team that got ran out of their own stadium by Miami. So to the person to the people that still question, oh, Notre Dame would hang with Miami and Clemson, what do you have to say now? Because this Notre Dame team has not if you look at Notre Dame's schedule right now, all the teams that they played at the moment they played them, none of them were ranked. Notre Dame is probably the worst undefeated team right now at the moment. Notre Dame's playing an upset-minded Pittsburgh team next week that could very well get the job done.
They can.
And November 7th,
Clemson.
Notre Dame plays Clemson in South Bend.
Oh, in
And based
Clemson.
off of what we saw,
Oh,
it's in Clemson or is it in South Bend?
no, it's South Bend. You're right.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a nightmare. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. Clemson is number one for a reason.
I hope that game's on national TV because that way we can
NBC.
really prove that Notre Dame does not
NBC,
belong.
7 o'clock, y'all.
Oh, it's on NBC?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Oh, good. It'll be in front of a national audience. Awesome. So that way we'll still prove that, Notre Dame does not belong. Because like I've said, and it's still relevant to this day.
UNC
They're
was
not.
also another overrated team also, which we will get to that later on.
Well, we can get to that now because I'm going to get off of Notre Dame.
No.
So Florida State.
Go ahead.
Florida State takes down a 3-0 UNC Tar Heels team. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't say UNC's overrated.
They should not been ranked number 5. That's what I mean by overrated.
Yeah, were they deserving of a number 5 ranking?
That's what I mean.
Probably not.
Miami's far better than Notre Dame.
Now, you mean UNC?
Yeah, UNC.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, I mean, there's just Miami is far better than Notre Dame. I mean, oh my gosh, look at me! Look what you did. Miami is far better than North Carolina. Miami is. I'm gonna be honest with you. North Carolina, I will say, is not deserving of their number 5 ranking. They're probably a top 10 team.
Top 10,
maybe like exactly. But tonight you saw a lot of mental mistakes.
Drop passes.
That Florida State. Oh my gosh, drop passes all over the place. There was like 5 drop passes on that drive towards the end of the game for North Carolina to go win the game.
Like you just legit look like how Auburn looked like against South Carolina. Dropping passes, those kind of mistakes.
Exactly. And then the funny part is Florida State didn't score a single point in the second half of that game. They didn't.
That's just mind-boggling. And Florida State is unranked. Like I think right now Florida State is on the streaky side right now, if you ask me personally. But they're gonna tighten up as the season goes on, I personally think. Especially how Mike Norvell's career throughout Florida State is gonna go. They're gonna tighten up.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. See, and here's something else that's pretty funny about it. So Jimbo Fisher never beat North Carolina in his time at Florida State. Bobby Bowden only lost to North Carolina one time, and that was in 2001 after it was basically kind of like a rebuild year for Florida State because Florida State had just lost Chris Winkie and on all that talent like Peter Warwick and all those guys. So it was kind of like a rebuild year. So, I mean, that was like the given year that they were going to lose to North Carolina. Mike Norvell has come in here and won a very big signature game because to Florida State, don't tell those people that, North Carolina was overrated.
Oh, no.
That's a big deal when you're unranked like that.
Oh,
and you've been the laughing stock.
Like every Florida State fan should be going crazy about it. Like
exactly, I'm like there was so
ranking
much
period for Florida State as a signature win. Like I would not take that away from them.
Oh, of course, it's a stepping stone for Florida State to get back to where they were, and I'm gonna say it now. And a lot of people are probably going to say, oh, it's too soon to say that. Oh, they didn't give him a chance. Willie Taggart had his opportunities to get that signature win at Florida State. He had a 27-7 lead on Miami.
Oh, please.
Had the whole crowd doing the swag surf his first game against Virginia Tech. Had Florida come into Doak Campbell. Could have won that. There's a lot of games that were key games that he could have won, that he should have won. A game like tonight, and Mike Norvell has come in here And 5 games in, Mike Norvell got a huge signature win. And I can honestly say, if Willie Taggart had been on the sideline tonight instead of Mike Norvell, I don't think Florida State wins this game.
Definitely not.
I do not think that. I'm just going to be honest. And a lot of people are going to say you shouldn't say that because it's too soon. Well, quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell the truth. And a lot of people want to say, oh, well, they didn't give him enough time. You know what?
He had 2 years, 3 years? I think he had enough time.
He had 2 years. You
should have at least picked up a signature win within those 2 years. Even with
you should land. You should have landed some other quarterbacks. Mike Norvell is coming here in 1 year, 5 games in, and has gotten a signature win. That's the type of progress that I'm talking about. That was not made 2 years prior. And there was a certain energy with only 18,000 fans inside Doak that I felt for the first time in a long time from the Florida State faithful.
Definitely. I wish USF could have something like that, but there's some questions about USF that must be answered, and I think this is not the year. Until
USF does right by Jim Leavitt, things won't change. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like, there's nothing else to say. You had sellout crowds. It was so much. It was fun to go to USF games back. It was fun
back in 2008. Yeah, I remember those games.
2007, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Like, I was there. I like to call it the game that retired Bobby Bowden. I was at that USF Florida State game back in 2009, where USF went into Tallahassee and beat Florida State, the game that kind of technically marked the end of the Bowden era. I was there. Like, it's just that type of swagger that USF had, we're gonna go into your house and beat you, and they were beating all these Power 5 teams. That type of energy. Definitely. When they get that back, that's when USF will be back. Right now, USF doesn't have.
Not right now, no.
And even though they today, UCF is the better team
compared to USF. Oh, that's not a question. That's not a question. Everyone's gonna say it.
Exactly.
It's just no contest between those two schools right now. I do want to see how Jeff Scott recruits and stuff. I have yet to watch a USF game this year, so I have no idea how he handles in crunch time. But
they're not worthy of TV.
They're not worthy of TV.
That's why.
So I have no clue how that Temple game ended, because I heard Temple just.
Oh, they lost.
Yeah, I knew that. But were there silly mistakes made or something like that, or was Temple?
I believe they were down. By 2.
Yeah, they lost by 2.
Actually,
they lost by 2. But yes, I would say this about USF. I would like to see how Jeff Scott recruits and how he handles with all these losses this season, and if he could make them at least over a 500 team next year.
No, 'tis true.
I would give now Jeff Scott at least 2 to 3 years before,
Right. But now
the bug is coming. The bug is coming.
It's time for a little bit of trivia with the bug.
Uh-oh.
Hello, everyone. This is the bug, and my trivia today is: who was the first person to play in the NBA and did not play any college basketball and high school basketball here in the United States?
And that's the bug's trivia question. For his trivia question this week, it was who was the first NBA player to be drafted without playing high school or college basketball in the U.S.? Now, we're going to leave that question out there for it to be answered for next week. But, Flash, I'm going to leave it up to you to answer this question from the last episode today. So, out of the 26 quarterbacks in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, how many of them don't have any rings or championships?
That was one I'm not going to take a stab at because I have zero clue on top of my head.
I know these questions are kind of hard, aren't they?
They're kind of hard. I mean, especially like if you're not from the past and stuff, like pre 1980s, 1990s, you would not have a clue, to be honest.
Well, I'm gonna answer that one. That question from last episode for you. So, out of the 26 QBs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, only 5 of them don't have any rings or championships.
How many? 36?
Out of the 26 in the Hall of Fame,
that's a solid ratio.
Only 5 of them don't have any.
I would say that's a solid ratio because I mean that must have been like some amazing talents that went through the league and they can't win it all, which understandably it's a team sport in the end. So.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to understand. You had certain guys like Dan Marino to most notably name somebody that sticks out that, just came along at a time where the NFC was just loaded and he had to see if it was either going to be Joe Montana or the Cowboys or the Giants who you were going to see in the Super Bowl. Most notably in the 80s, it was going to be the 49ers. Like, you're not going to beat them.
It was just set in stone.
And
they were like what? They were like the Warriors back then.
Better. They were the team of the 80s in the NFL. They won 4 Super Bowls in that decade.
They didn't lose one.
They didn't lose one. The 49ers were 5-0. They were 5-0 in Super Bowls up until their last 2 Super Bowls against the Ravens and the Chiefs. But during the Jerry Rice years and Joe Montana in the 80s and that one in 94, the 49ers didn't lose the Super Bowl.
That's nuts.
I know. It's crazy.
And we're all like envying about Tom Brady and the New England eras. Like, I don't know. I think you can make a better comparison of that compared to those 49ers teams. Because, like, I mean, we know Tom Brady was good, but, I mean, like, the Philly Super Bowl, which is, like, probably one of my favorite Super Bowls I ever watched. Because Philly was really riled up, and you could have sensed the spirit in those Philly boys that they wanted it.
Oh, of course. But yeah, that's the Bugs trivia question for the next episode. We'll answer it on here. Who is the first NBA player to be drafted without playing high school or college basketball in the U.S.? Who was it? We'll answer that for the next episode. But if you know it, comment under this episode on YouTube or shoot us a DM or comment under this post on Twitter. As we move forward now, we're going to talk about the NFL. So major news with Tom Brady, actually, now that you mention him. Tom Brady forgot what the down and distance was at a crucial point in the game against the Bears. And I'm just like, golly, it's that's the most Buccaneer thing I've ever seen.
I wouldn't.
I
really wouldn't be too stressed about Tom Brady making that kind of mistake. I think he'll know better. Definitely.
Oh, he's upset, and that's going to be like
the Buccaneers and Packers game is going to be good this weekend, guys. I'm just going to call it out right now.
That's actually and I'm glad you said that, because that leads me into my next question for you. Do you think that the Bucs can bounce back against the Packers?
Ooh, that is tough. That's a question you must write up to the Buccaneers defense yourself, because Aaron Rodgers is on fire. Plain and simple.
That's
Aaron
true.
Aaron Rodgers is not. I think Buccaneers can definitely score in the Packers defense. I think it will be a barn burner game for sure. But it's
right. I believe is it Russell Wilson? Is it Russell Wilson or is it Aaron Rodgers who currently hasn't thrown an interception in the NFL right now?
I'm not too sure. To be not on top of me.
I'm looking at the. 'Cause I know it's somebody that's like one of the leaders in the clubhouse for MVP right now. Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it? Yes, it is Aaron Rodgers because Aaron
I think
Rodgers has
Wilson did
13
do a pick
touchdowns.
in one of those games. I can't remember which one, but I definitely knew he did.
I think for Russell Wilson, it was the one last week against the Vikings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Aaron
They were
Rodgers
really
who hasn't thrown a bit yet.
I personally think.
Say again?
But I think the Buccaneers game with the Packers is. I think the light's gonna be shined as well on Bruce Arians. Tom Brady's gonna be Tom Brady. I mean, yes, he's not as good as he used to be, but he's definitely still the quarterback to get the job done. So we got to watch on the play calling on the Bucs. We got to watch the Buccaneers defense because there has been some suspect times on the Bucs defense that we must see if they could handle a team like the Packers, which I think they'll be riled up, but you just gotta.
I think they'll be up to the task. I mean, we'll see. I mean, these numbers are incredible though through like the first 5 games of the season, I believe it is for the Packers. No, 4 games played, 1,214 yards, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 sacks, a passer rating of 128.4. Like this, it's fantastic. He's getting back Devontae Adams, who's the 3rd leading receiver on the team. Like
that's major.
It's crazy. Exactly. And he's still not going to have Anthony Lazard. So for you fantasy buffs, you can't start Anthony Lazard yet, but you can definitely start Devontae Adams. But it's going to be a fun one with the Bucs and the Packers. The other one too to keep an eye out on is the Cowboys. So would you still put the Cowboys down as a favorite to win the division without Dak Prescott?
That's a good question. I mean, it all depends. Let me look up the Eagles right now.
So the Eagles actually have a record of 1-3-1, while Dallas
to the Ravens. That's the Giants. I think the Eagles can pull it off. I just don't know much about the Eagles, other than they lost some silly games.
Right. And then
but then they managed to keep up with the Steelers. So this is like, all right, are you guys tanking? What you guys are doing? Are you just bad?
I really think they need to give Jalen Hurts a shot.
Oh,
the Eagles do.
Definitely. I mean, Jalen Hurts may not be the best deep bomb thrower, but he could definitely make his passes.
I think if it gets bad enough against the Ravens,
he should definitely get some snaps.
Yeah, you got to put him in at some point. You have to, because the point of emphasis for the Ravens defense is going to be rattle Carson Wentz, and they're going to do it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a nightmare to run against that Ravens defense.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if Hurts is a better runner than Carson Wentz. I think he'll definitely get some more snaps definitely tomorrow. I think whether if he's shotgunning or what, I think he's definitely going to be going for it.
Right. And this brings me now to the last question. So how good are the Browns? They're 4-1. They're 1-1 in their division, and they got the undefeated Steelers in Heinz Field tomorrow or here soon.
Let me see real quickly. Browns 2020 schedule. I think the Browns can definitely.
Right now,
Pittsburgh is undefeated, but I think the Browns could snag a win. I don't know if in Heinz Field, but definitely in Cleveland, I think they could snag a win against it.
It's true. I mean, hey, look, they're gonna next time they see the Browns. Next time they see the Steelers,
serious contention for that second spot in that tough AFC North. I would definitely put them in that conversation.
Right. I think Baltimore could still win that division, but I would have to say it's going to be depending on what we see between the Browns and the Steelers on the field. That's going to probably be what dictates who
We will have a
gets
better idea on what's
that
going on and that difficult
for the
division.
second place.
Yes. I mean,
I agree with that.
let's see. After this week, the Browns play the Bengals, the Raiders, Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Titans, Ravens, Giants, Jets, and Steelers. I think the Browns are definitely going to be winning the majority of those games. Guys, Raiders are very inconsistent in my opinion as a team. They could go out and just take out Kansas City and then another day they would just lose to some other random team out of nowhere. So I think Browns they may not take it seriously.
Right,
Because,
right,
they're just not the Chiefs. There's no Patrick Mahomes.
right. And with that, we're going to transition now into FAMU sports. I know you're not too familiar with FAMU because of reasons being and stuff, but I'm gonna help you out here. I know you've never been to an HBCU homecoming and
It
stuff,
looks lit
but
from the videos I've seen.
it is. I'm gonna tell you now. You have to go. I don't know how much of in love you are with things like fried chicken and
Chicken.
fried
Come
fish.
on.
And
Fried fish. Give me a
they,
fried grouper sandwich. I'm in love with those.
oh, see, you'd fit right in there. Because oh my gosh, that's some of the best food ever. Like the first thing I do when I get to Tallahassee for homecoming week, I have to go find a vendor with some type of fish, and I just sit down and I listen to the sounds of the March 100 practice the day before the game. That's my Friday night. That right there makes my Friday night.
We got a road trip to Tallahassee sometime when this is all over.
I'm not going back to Tallahassee till maybe 2021, 2022.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
obviously. I think it would clear up by then.
You come to Port Orange, and we'll take the 4-hour ride up north.
Oh yeah,
I'm down. Okay. But I mean, hey, look, they open up the season next year down in Miami. I'm trying to put together this coup with you and Dalton.
We could just link up down there. We'll see.
Exactly. Hey, we'll see. We will definitely see. But and the interesting thing about it, going into homecoming week, today was supposed to be, or Saturday, this past Saturday was supposed to be FAMU and A&T. And I don't know if you've seen the highlights of that, but based off those highlights, I think you can kind of say those two teams don't like each other. But I'm going to say this. I definitely think FAMU would have beaten A&T again. FAMU would have still been undefeated. And FAMU would have been walking into homecoming week this week with a lot of momentum. That's just my point of view. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. And the ones that don't are obviously Aggie fans. And that's perfectly fine. But, I mean, the truth is the truth. And I've even said it sometimes in messages I've sent to people. I would not have been surprised if for the third year in a row, this would have been the year that FAMU probably would have blown out A&T. Everybody would have been like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'd be like, no, what are you surprised about? FAMU had a lot of firepower coming back this season, especially on the offense.
Oh yeah, I heard they're really good.
And A&T's
as an HBCU team.
Exactly.
I still do not understand how they keep losing to Cookman. I don't understand that for a team as good.
You're talking about the Florida Classic.
Yeah, I don't understand how FMA. Man, I'm tripping right now. Florida A&M.
You don't understand.
I do not understand how they keep losing to Cookman. I especially all the times I think they're the better team from the very exposure of what I've seen so far.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through this. Um, so as you honestly, I'm gonna tell you now, the last time FAMU won the Florida Classic, we didn't even know each other. I'm gonna tell you now, we were in middle school. Barack Obama was still the president last time.
2010.
It was 2010. So it somebody actually asked me this question a few months ago. They said, how many Florida Classics do you think FAMU should have won that they lost during this 9-year skid? I honestly tell them all the time, I felt like FAMU should have won the Classic in 2012. I feel like FAMU should have won the Classic in 2014. I feel like FAMU should have won the Classic in 2017, 2018, and 2019.
I would say they should have won. I just do not understand it.
The thing about now, I'm gonna go all based off the most recent Florida Classic. So last year, FAMU came into the game 9-1. Bethune-Cookman was like I think a 6-win or 7-win team.
Yeah, stuff like that. I just don't understand.
Like I'm starting to think about it because you know as well as I do. If you with a lot of these rivalries, especially like the Virginia Tech Virginia game. If you let these rivalries like get one-sided for too long, it can become a mental hurdle. Like that's what was like Florida State and Miami for a while.
We lived through that throughout high school. We know exactly.
Exactly. I think it's kind of uncharted territory for the FAMU faithful because it is a rival. It's a rival that they've dominated for years, and so FAMU got down early because, I think it's just the heat of battle. The juices are flowing and stuff. You're too overexcited a little bit, I think it is. And the nerves are crazy in that game. And so they had to fight back. Mind you, FAMU at one point, they lost the game by 4. So FAMU had opportunities to actually tie that game. I always say to people, if FAMU makes the 3-point try, the kicker he missed that. The extra point attempt was blocked in that game, so that's 4 points right there. They lose the game 31-27. If they make that 3-point try, and the extra point attempt is good and not blocked, we're still playing right now in overtime, and who knows what happens. But honestly, the offense was so explosive to the point where I thought FAMU should have just been no contest. But the weird thing about it was what Bethune-Cookman was doing defensively was every time I believe they showed a 4-man front, every time they showed a 3-man front with 3 down linemen, they struggled to pass the ball against that defense of Bethune-Cookman. But every time that they sat back and waited, he carved them up. He carved them up in zone, but whenever they blitzed, it was a struggle. And then there was too many mistakes in that game. But I honestly felt like this year, because of the quarterback play and because of special teams, it would have been better this year. And before people get going, I'm not giving Ryan Stanley a hard time, so don't even go there with me. But I think John Holcomb III, who transferred in from Kansas State, would have played better in the Florida Classic, given the element that he brings to the offense, the ability to run the ball. And you now have an RPO attack similar to, say, what Florida does right now. And similar to only the thing is, I think John Holcomb's a better thrower of the football. And you've got an elite group of receivers. So I think that would have helped FAMU win the Classic this year. But, I mean, look, we'll see. We won't know. We're going to find out in 2021.
Definitely.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm like you do. I question a lot of times, how does this keep happening? Especially years when you think you've got them down and you just lose that game. Because it's been times when FAMU should have won that game and FAMU's been the underdog. And then there's been times like last year where FAMU should have won the game and they lost. Trust me, I've seen this movie so many times. I've seen it 9 straight years, but I've also seen times where FAMU wins the game and you're just like, oh my gosh, and stuff. So I mean, it's a rivalry. That's the beauty of rivalry games. But I do think FAMU's going to win the next Florida Classic.
Yeah, I would want to believe that as well. 2021.
Yeah.
I felt like personally, I think we gotta talk a lot more about NFL. There's a lot of storylines going on in the NFL. Give me your thoughts about how NFL's handling the COVID, because I am quite concerned about that.
Honestly, I can tell you now, I think the NFL's handling COVID better than expected, to be honest. Like, I mean, look, there's no bubble. There's going to be
Cases.
Exactly. Like you can't contain this thing without a bubble.
I do.
So
I
mean,
think
like
they could have made it like an extra step to like rent out some hotel rooms for players
they could
and have like buses to take them to practices.
Interesting thing about that, some teams are actually doing that. So I've heard that the Saints are doing that.
From my understanding, I think Seattle does it. Because I saw that one player got kicked out real quickly with smuggling that girl.
Oh my, that was so stupid. That was so stupid. Oh my, don't even get me started. But yeah, like I know like the Seahawks, the Saints, and even the Bucks were talking about doing that. I really just feel like the smartest teams are going to actually like find success with this. Like I know back when
big time.
Yeah. Like even before training camp started, they had an idea where they had these little chips that they put in wristbands that everybody had to have on them to trace them and where they go and where they've been. So, I mean, like that is one way that they've been doing it, and it's worked fantastically. The NFL chief medical examiner said, you know what, we want to be able to use our own stuff as best as possible, our own medical experts.
You know, like how in the NBA had on with the ring thing so they can track to make sure the player isn't getting sick or anything. They should probably look into that. I know it's a much bigger process because like NFL has like way more people, but I think it's something they should look into it, judging the circumstances.
Well, I mean, that's why the NFL has like the little chip inside the wristbands.
Okay, so if it does the same thing, then
it does. I mean, and then the other thing too is like you gotta like there's like the NFL is constantly always testing. Like, I mean, like they probably tested guys Saturday night, and then they probably are going to test again before they leave the hotels. Like they're constantly testing people 24/7, like, and it's repeated and stuff. But see, it comes down to the money.
Definitely,
it comes down to the money. But some of these games have been readjusted and stuff too, because like I said, now for there's
readjusting the games very well so far.
Yeah,
but I would agree. Like with cases popping up and stuff, you gotta take a little bit better precaution.
You do
because that Patriots closed down and like had a lot of us scared that like something was gonna happen again. Unfortunately, they have reopened back up. So.
Right. I mean, like I said, I honestly believe I think the teams that handle this the best are going to be the ones still left standing in the end.
Definitely. Ooh.
So I mean, that's my take of it. But now there's something I got to ask you about before we get up out of here.
Yes, sir.
So LeBron won ring number 4. And then also at the same time, the Lakers now have their 17th NBA title, which ties them with the Celtics for the most titles. How are we feeling about LeBron's legacy? I need to know.
It's better. I personally would not put him in the Jordan talk in terms of like greatness in terms of rings, but LeBron has a hell of a career. He's definitely a top 3 player of all time. But I'm just. It's also hard to compare LeBron and Michael Jordan, to be honest. I think LeBron is the GOAT of this generation. And what I mean of this generation is like after Kobe Bryant. Kobe's a goat of his era.
Mm-hmm.
MJ was a goat of his era. Magic, I think, was probably of his era. I would say, right? Or Wilt? Not Wilt.
I mean, that era in the 80s that you're talking about, I really don't even. That's hard for me
Yeah.
to understand. That's hard
No,
for me
I
to
can't
say
even say
because
Wilt.
honestly, like,
Wilt was another era. I meant to say Kareem. Oh my lord.
I mean, Kareem was in the 80s
Yeah.
too. Like, I mean, it. You look back at the 80s, like it was the Celtics were obvious. The Celtics and the Lakers. It was like who was going to win the title, and then you know, like it's I really can't even tell. Like it was like
No, I mean Larry
LeBron,
Bird
not
was in that talk, so it's just
Magic and Larry were like the face of the league at the same time, and then like they both had Converse and stuff. So I mean, it's hard to tell who was really like whose era that was or whose decade that was really.
exactly.
But I will say, in my honest opinion, and this is my opinion, stats aside, the mindsets are different to me. It's the mindsets do it for me because Michael Jordan had a killer instinct when he was on the
Oh yeah,
floor.
and he had a really great work
And
ethic.
it's like,
you cannot deny that, especially watching that last Dance documentary. It reminded a lot of people who the hell Michael Jordan was.
exactly, like,
When he
Michael
lost to those
Jordan was
Bad
not
Boys Pistons and he decided to get with a trainer and took care of his body and got buff up,
exactly,
that's what goes through.
exactly. Like I need to know, like, from a lot of people, what do you think would have happened if LeBron had ran into the Bad Boys Pistons? What do you think would have happened?
Ooh.
Honest question. Let's not argue with each other.
Yeah, I know. If it was that 2007 Cavs, it would be a nightmare. 2013 Heat, I would definitely put 2013 Heat over. Well, not 2013, but the Heatles, I think, would be better than them.
But see, there's a little, and then see the other thing too
physicality is different too.
The physicality nowadays is different from the physicality from back in the day.
Right.
Back in the day, you could literally get hit or something, and it's not a foul. Nowadays, if you just touch somebody, it's a foul.
Oh yeah, you could flop it, and the refs will call it.
Exactly. And then the other thing too is, see, with Michael Jordan, with MJ, and even Kobe, it was like, look,
I mean, Kobe got hit bad so many times throughout his career.
Exactly. That's why his body broke down so fast. Well, not so fast, but that's why his body was breaking down towards the end of his career. LeBron's talking about, I have so much more basketball left in me. For one, he's bigger. He's bigger than Kobe and Jordan.
He's bigger.
So, of course,
he has more money to take care of his body, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It's a good thing.
Exactly. And that's the other thing, too. The money's different now. The money's different. The other thing, too, LeBron is nowhere near the type of smoker that Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was smoking a cigar every other 5 minutes from what it looks like. LeBron doesn't do that. Although LeBron may smoke a victory cigar every here and there.
I mean, it's smoking cigars like how Jordan did.
Exactly. Like, I mean, like, dude, it's a lot. There's a lot that's different between then and now. Like the preparation is different now as far as taking care of your body and stuff and all that. Like the food you eat, you have like these different types of elements to sports medicine now that have evolved within just the whole world of sports in particular. It's everything. But ultimately for me, I still say it's the mindset.
Definitely.
Michael Jordan was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish this now. Michael Jordan saw to it that a lot of guys, a lot of big name guys like Charles Barkley, like Patrick Ewing, like Reggie Miller, like Clyde Drexler, did not get rings.
LeBron has some buzzer beaters, but he's not the killer instinct that we've seen MJ as.
Exactly. That's just my thing.
On bigger stage, you know, like. I mean, I know, like, if Bron Centrals hear this, they would, like, just tear me apart. Like, no, LeBron is in the GO combo, but I just don't personally think he's better than MJ all time. No.
I I will say I
He's
think
he,
I think
he's
LeBron's
creeping up,
good.
but he's not there.
Exactly. LeBron's an elite talent. No question
And this
about it.
last
I think
Lakers win is
LeBron's
definitely not like how it was with the Cleveland series. Like that Cleveland series was something else. With the Warriors back in 2016, that like
right.
you know, I think he made a huge leap in the GOAT conversation, but it kind of slipped away with the recent NBA Finals with the Warriors. You know, like he kind of did fade away a little bit. I mean, even though his only expectation was to play good in those finals, like he kind of did fade away within those games. I know Bronze fans do
Right.
not want to hear it, but like the truth is the truth. Like,
But see now, and see, here's the other thing
like
too that
play
I
till
mentioned.
die trying. I mean,
Right. And here's the other thing I'm interested in though. Um, now next season, Warriors are going to be back healthy.
Oh yeah, I know that.
The Warriors
But
are going to be back healthy. You got the Clippers are still going to be good. I don't know what's going to happen with the
I
Rockets and
really do
Oklahoma
not
City.
know. Oklahoma City, as far as I'm concerned, is going to get rid of Chris Paul. Russell Westbrook is definitely a guy to keep on. I mean, I know some people want to say he's washed and stuff, but I mean, give the man a break. He had a torn hamstring, and coronavirus completely messed up his workout routine. So I personally would write him a pass, but I would keep an eye on Russell
Mhm.
Westbrook. I think his Houston days may be coming up. I I do not want to
And
feel
then what's the other one?
what's it?
You you got John Morant, who's young and up and coming in the West too. Like this is going to get
I
pretty
think Memphis
interesting.
will be a solid 8-7 seed ish next year.
Exactly. Like, and
You
then
still got the Blazers.
you still got the
Still got
Trailblazers.
the Blazers.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said,
The
the
Nuggets too.
one team that was missing from this whole equation was Golden State. And I love how Golden State fell off and everybody wasn't a Golden State fan all of a sudden. But I'm like, look, Golden State's got a top 3 pick in the
They're
draft.
going to trade it for someone. It's bound to happen.
Oh, of course.
I think Golden
Of
State next
course.
year. I don't think they're not going to be as dominant as before, but if they get like a decent big
They're
man
going
or
to be
something, they're going to make a lot of noise. Plain and simple.
they're
They're
going to
going to
be
be
there.
their top 5.
I agree with you.
Actually, let me change
I
it.
agree
Top
with
4.
you. And they're gonna be the team that gives LeBron a hard time.
Yes. They're going to have to make some
Yeah,
moves, but they will give LeBron a hard time without a doubt.
exactly. Because like I said, that team is gonna still that team. They are so consistent shooting threes, and they can get
Keep
hot
in
at any
mind, the
time.
Lakers are also going to lose a lot of players they had from this team that made a difference, like Rondo. Rondo said
Really,
I just heard recently, I think Rondo's going free agency.
I kind of heard the same thing about Anthony Davis. I don't know how true
Anthony
that is
Davis,
though.
I would assume he would resign, but you never know. You just know.
Okay.
I mean, me
Okay.
right now. I mean, my current look on the NBA right now, as a Westbrook fan, is like, what the hell is going to happen to him? I personally do not want him on the Knicks because Tom Thibodeau may just run up his minutes, and like, no, you cannot run up a 31, 32-year-old point guard who relies on athleticism and have another D Rose accident. Like, that's something I want to avoid. But there is some plus sides if
Right.
Westbrook does go to the Knicks. He could definitely help them to a decent playoff run, maybe first, second round exit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd wanted
Right.
them to Miami from the get go. Who knows? Maybe Miami may pick 10. Give up some picks for him.
True. Maybe make it happen, Pat Riley. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of the Run and Gun podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have not already, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Penalty Talk. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Throw Flags. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Penalty Talk. Make sure you follow us on No, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, I drew a blank there. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Check us out on Spotify. And also, if you need to shoot us an email, our email is flagontheplaysports@gmail.com. Flash, you got anything?
Thanks for watching, y'all. I mean, I think tomorrow's gonna be a fun day of NFL. We should be thankful we have NFL going on. I think sports are looking bright right now. As far as I'm concerned, and we should be all happy about that.
I'm right there with you. Also, too, if you have early voting in your state, make sure you go out and vote. Yes, go out and vote.
Who you want to vote. Do not vote just based on party now. Just make sure you vote on a candidate who's fit your ideals.
Right. I agree with you. But as always, that's going to do it for us. Continue to wear your mask, social distance, stay blessed. We will see you on the next episode.
Good night, y'all.